Hey, Lee Wolf here, and we are live on this Game Face Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And as always, Mr. Richie Bello is with us today. How you doing, Richie?
Great. How are you, Lee? How you doing today?
Good, good. I'm a little tired. I just drove back from Fort Lauderdale over the last couple of days, but had a good family vacation, a little bit of a break, and now I'm back ready to burn it up.
How was your trip? Good. Did you enjoy yourself?
It was good. It was a Disney cruise, so the kid was thrilled. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, the Disney cruise.
Yeah, and me to say something about that. We didn't really have a show. What I did was I did the re-show. I did the reruns,
Mhm.
and with StreamYard it goes live anyway. You know what I mean? It says live, but guys, this was old shows that we had. So
Cool.
you weren't around, so I decided not to do the show because you're very good at helping me out with the show and a very good host yourself. So I decided not to do it.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. So today we're going to be talking about the VIN retention report, but from a different perspective. Before we get rolling on the show, we're actually going to run a quick promo for Shop Smart Autos and the VIN retention report.
Getting new customers is exciting and necessary, but while attracting new customers is important, retaining your customers creates an unending stream of revenue that keeps your dealership moving forward. Whether you're a marketing team for car dealerships or a dealership yourself, Shop Smart Autos has your retention tool, the VIN Retention Report. Anyone can find out how many cars they sold in a given period of time, but your VIN Retention Report will show by VIN the vehicles or customers you retained and the ones you lost. But that's not all. ShopSmart's technology can show you where your VINs ended up. Did they trade them in at another dealership? Did they switch models? Did they sell their vehicle privately or go to auction? You're constantly spending marketing dollars and time trying to target your current customers, but you could be marketing to customers that have moved on. And now you'll have the power to see where they went and change your strategy to target them in ways that brings them back. Not to mention, you can identify your strengths and weaknesses within the dealership to help lift up your staff and give them the confidence and drive they need to retain and gain your customers. The VIN Retention Report is yours at ShopSmartAutos, 4, dealers.com. It's the most powerful retention tool out there.
Okay, so that short video pretty much says it all. Doesn't talk about all the different uses for the VIN retention report, but it gives you a good idea of, when I was in the marketing and advertising business back in the 90s and the 2000s, we dealt with upwards of 39 or 40 automotive dealerships. It made up a large base of all of our business. And basically, all we got every Monday was a phone call that said, we sold 30 cars. Last year at this time, we sold 29 cars, or we sold 35 cars. Why did we do worse? Why did we do better? We had no real serious insights except for some info that they would take down. But with the VIN retention report now, dealerships, this would be amazing. Back in the day, VIN retention report's going to show you the VINs you held on to, the VINs you lost. You can look by model. You can see where they went. That's an unbelievable thing. Where did these people end up and why? And then you can start asking yourself the questions. Is this a loyalty to brand? Does this have something to do with our sales staff? Does this have to do with training? There's so many questions to ask, not just, I sold 35 cars last year, I sold 30 cars this year. That's really not, what I get that a lot from Richie too. He talks about that. And I don't know the exact going rates today, but I know a television spot or a radio spot could be anywhere from $100 to $200. The VIN retention report can cost as little as a radio spot to give a dealership all these insights. And then there's also the perspective of the marketing agency that handles all of these dealerships, and how that's a powerful tool for marketing agencies to be able to go in and acquire new clients, new dealers. So I guess the first question really is how does the VIN retention report help the dealer, right, Rich?
Well, here's what the thing is, right? So let's say that it shows you and identifies to you if you're retaining your customers or not.
Right.
Right. And then you can compare that to your retention and service, because sometimes you're not retaining your customers in sales, but the same customers come in service. But if you're not retaining your vehicles in your sales department, you're definitely having a hard time in your service department.
Right.
Okay. So what does that mean? You got all these DMS marketing folks out there now. DMS marketing has become like third party, more or less third party lead generation, but it's first party data. Hear this out. It's first party data and first party leads. Okay. From your own customers.
Right.
So if it's true that third-party leads are not working no more, once you get a lead from there, you better make sure that you follow up that customer and that customer, so the next time they're in the market, they don't go on Google and search it and then go back to cars.com or Auto Trader or whatever, or Kelley Blue Book or Cars Guru or whoever, right? So you want to make sure that those customers that you paid a lot of money for, now they're your customers. How do you make them your customers? Well, using the technology of DMS marketing. So what reporting does the dealership have to know that DMS marketing, whichever company they hired, is increasing their retention? That's the whole idea behind this product. So what tool do they have? They have the tool that shows you the analytics on click-throughs, on appointment settings, on all that kind of stuff. Okay, great. But what does that really do? It doesn't show you your retention.
Right.
So we have a tool that helps the dealership identify if that product is helping them with their retention or not.
Right.
Right out of the gate, I'm going to say this, and I've said this before. DMS marketing's been around for a long time, since direct mail. It never worked with direct mail. Why? Because 60% of the dealers back then were Reynolds and Reynolds, 40% were ADP. Reynolds and Reynolds had a nightmare as far as data. It took forever to clean it up through the R.O. Polk and Company. Okay, so they cleaned it up. It didn't work. But nobody's paying attention to that because there's no contract nowhere to cleanse that data.
Right.
You know if that customer bought a car elsewhere or traded in that vehicle that they bought a year ago somewhere else. So you're marketing these people. So that's the other part that the VIN retention tool does for you. It tells you that if that customer you don't have, why are you going to market? So you put it somewhere else. You don't put it as active, right? So you hit all in market DMS customers. What is in market? If their lease is up within a year, if their loans are up within a year, you start marketing them.
Right.
And first of all, how are you marketing them? That's the other thing, right? If they know that you have a vehicle, right, you start showing them what their vehicle could be worth and that you might have a buyer for their vehicle.
Right.
Right. So by you telling them just a basic, marketing campaign, it's not. So with the VIN retention report, you're able to police these DMS marketing companies.
Right. Right.
The wall. You're able to find out, is your retention getting better or worse?
Right.
Are you increasing or not? Because they're going out there and saying, listen, cut back on Google, cut back on this. Yeah, but is it really working? How do you know if it's working or not?
Right.
Only by click-throughs and by appointments.
Yeah.
There's no real reporting on here. Here's how many vehicles you sold in the last 90 days.
Right. Right.
You know?
And now from the marketing agency's perspective, or even people that offer software solutions to dealerships, this would be a powerful tool for them as well, right?
Well, sure. This is to be a powerful tool this way. So, Lee, you were a marketing agency where you had, let's say, 40 dealerships. You go into the meeting, right, with a gentleman. He passed away. That's why I mentioned his name, Neil Felsting. That was an animal, right?
Yeah.
Lee, I'm doing this, that. This is terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, what are you comparing me to? What are you comparing me to? Usually, they start comparing you to last year, to the cars that are being sold, this, that. No, let's compare you to the market. Mr. Neil, let's look at this. What do you got? The Dodge store? Okay, boom, boom, Neil Dodge, Lee Dodge, Louis Dodge, Billy Dodge, and all in your market. Boom, there it is. Look, so my marketing doesn't work. Oh, really? It doesn't? You're doing better than all three of the stores around your DMA.
Right.
That's the first tool. That helps you retain your customer.
Right. Right.
Right? The second tool is you have a dealership that reached out to you. Now you have to build a strategy.
Right.
Right? Now you look at his area, and you do the insight.
Right.
Right? And then you find out where the problem is, right? And listen, there's a lot of data actually talks to you. So I have a store over the weekend that we ran. They're at 10%. The other store is 30%. Let's take a dive. Boom. Let's take a dive and look at it. Now, there's other reports that we haven't made public yet, like inventory reporting, right? But let's look at this report for a minute. There's a group, right? The group is 13 or 14 franchises. The other stores are standalone. Okay? One store says 10%, but if you look within where they're trading in their cars, if you look at that, they're within the same group.
Right.
So they're at 10%. So if you add all the numbers, they're probably at 20, 25%. The other store that's standalone is losing them to their other competitors, but is still doing better because he's at 30%. So from the OEM perspective, they're saying the franchise value here is dropped at 10%. They're not making any money or anything on the other side with his brand, right? They're not doing that. So now that's a problem for the OEM sector.
Right.
Right. So why is that a problem? Because there's a value to your franchise when they're looking at the OEM. This is what they're looking at. Is he converting his Chevrolet traffic into the other brands because the rebates are better? Because he's got a different type of deal with the rebates and all this, and the trade-ins, why are they all going there? We're losing now vehicles in operation.
Right.
And that franchise, that right there is an underperforming dealership.
Right.
So we just don't give you the report. We give you what you call is a summary with our data science people that know automotive, a summary identifying to you like a sore thumb, because, dealers don't know how to communicate with the data unless you've been exposed to data. Data actually talks to you.
Right.
Analytical data talks to you.
Right.
One thing is you running Google Analytics and just seeing the analytics, okay, but get under the hood, boom, go right under the hood, and now analyze that data and let it talk to you, because it does. Well, the same thing with the VIN retention. It talks to you. It identifies to you the problem that you have in your dealership.
Right.
So now with the advertising company, they come up with a strategy. Why is this store not selling cars? Now I know why that store reached out to me. So you knowing that the store is not really doing good in the marketplace, now you know what you got to do as a business person.
Right.
Right? You have the information of that store not doing good. Just imagine if you had that comparison analysis in the company you had, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much more profits and how much more growth would you have? And how many more customers you would retain? Not that you probably ever lost one, but you probably didn't, but you would not have that Monday morning or that Tuesday morning bullshit from the dealership that has the upper hand on you because he has the data and you don't.
Right.
By you having that data, you have the upper hand.
Right.
Now, what is that VIN retention report? Let's talk about it. That VIN retention report is nothing more than the cross-sale report at real time. Cross-sale report, you got to wait 90 days for registration. Here, you don't have to wait no days. It's boom, boom. Here you go, bang. It's all automated. Anybody can go on there. If you go to Shop Smart Autos, you log in, there it is, pay for your report, and that's it.
Yeah, I could show you want me to show a quick video of how quick the automation is. Hold on. That's like everything you need to know in a matter of seconds.
With seconds, correct. So that report is key, right? So the whole thing is that other people, aside from dealerships, advertising companies, great tool as a comparison tool, right? It tells you where you're at and the kind of job you're doing. The customer might tell you, hey, Lee, I didn't get anything out of it. Okay. So now you look at where you started with the gentleman and where he was and where he's at now. Right? So now right? You're able to keep that customer. So that's an important tool, and that's an important comparison tool. Why is that tool so important to compare? Because you can canvas new opportunities. You can go out and say, listen, this customer's with us. Look at his retention and look at your retention.
Right. And then what does that do for the cost of acquisition as well?
Right. It lowers the cost of acquisition because now over $150, now you're reaching out to that customer with data. And the one thing that I know in the industry, dealers listen to data. From the start of this business from Henry Ford. Okay. Why? Because the business is wrapped around data based on registrations.
Right.
If you wouldn't be in that type of business where it's transportation and DMV, we wouldn't follow data either, like everybody else. But we've been following data since the beginning of time. R.O. Polk and Company always prepared the report that was called for the grassroots meetings for dealer principals. That report was prepared showing them pump ins, pump outs, registration data, and all this information to identify to them a comparison. They put all the dealerships in that area. Like Honda would be, 5A, they would put everybody on there and they would tell them, well, this report, guys, you have it access to your fingertips that you can do it now.
Right.
And you know what your competitor is doing. Here's the other thing, Mr. Jones. If your competitor is beating you, hands down, either you have a sales issue or you have an inventory issue, especially in used cars.
Right.
Because if that competitor is flipping his inventory every 50 days and you're flipping it over 140 days, you're dealing with a commodity that depreciates. If you're not flipping it, you got a problem.
Right.
So these are a few of things that you got to understand that are going on in the marketplace,
Right. Yeah. And the beautiful thing is not having to wait 90 days is unbelievable, because if you think about it, you pull a VIN retention report periodically and new VINs that you lost, let's say, show up on that report. Immediately you can target those people for your service department and not give them a chance to get fully vested in a new dealership. So if I buy a Honda from Joe's Honda, and then I go 2.5 years later and I trade it in at Mike's Honda, if immediately a dealership can know that I made that trade, immediately you can target them for service, offer them an oil change, offer them whatever it is to take care of all their recalls and give them a loaner car, get them back into the dealership, get your sales team to hit them up and flip them back over to the dealership over time. You're targeting those people immediately instead of 70 days, 100, whatever it is that goes by. And these people are just, now they're comfortable with a new service department. Now they're comfortable in a new world. It's such a powerful thing.
Well, the powerful thing is from the OEM sector, they can press a button and know what's going on, right?
Right.
From the advertising, they can know what's going on. Just to let everybody know, VC, venture capital people and hedge fund people, right, been buying automotive data for decades. Now, why do they buy automotive data? Because it's a hedge fund. So what is a hedge fund? Okay. Prudential, all the insurance companies, including all the warranty companies, all of them buy this data for dividends to find out how many cars do we have in the market, how many claims they could be. Okay. Now they got to figure out how to move money, because all a hedge fund is dividends. That's it.
Right.
They invest your money, right, to pay dividends. That's it. So there's a lot of these hedge funds that have this transportation, because with the transportation, it's just not about cars, it's about insurance. It's about claims.
Right.
So it's a very big, I know of 100 companies right now that we're trying to wrap up, 100 companies in the hedge fund world that I got a lead on, that's what they do. They buy automotive data, right? So it's important to them to buy automotive data. The bigger acquisitions will come in to the automotive sector from family office industry. That's where it comes from, right? And they need to know the real story behind it, what's going on. Now, they buy a lot of automotive data, not just from one person. They buy a lot of automotive data. They're all about automotive data because they're able to target and figure out the economy. They buy construction data. they buy automotive data, two huge industries that have to do with the economy.
Yeah.
You know, if the construction's way up, chances are everything's going up. You got the oil business that has a lot to do with automotive data. Well, why? Because we know the inventory, like companies like Valvoline, that's what they buy. They buy that kind of data. For what's the reason for that?
Right.
ExxonMobil, what's the reason for that? I mean, all these companies, because they got refineries, they got to bring this in. So then they see the marketplace. It's not only about selling cars, and that's why the OEMs love the data part with the pole company, because that way they know what production should be.
Right.
They're not going to make the cars to let them sit in a lot. They want to flip it, turn and earn,
Right.
And that's what they use. The automotive data is a very big data, not just for dealerships.
Right.
That's probably that's the last thing for your enterprise folks, like now your DMS marketing people,
Right.
for strategy,
Yeah.
And when you talk about third-party lead generation, they also need that data, for what? For market conditions. To find out this store here that we were in there and they're not selling anything. Let me reach out to them again.
Yeah.
It's a comparison tool.
Right.
For you to canvas and get more opportunities. And the cost of acquisitions, like you said, Lee, is going to be close to nothing.
Right.
And you got a better shot of closing them than a shot of going on Google AdWords and getting that customer in. Now you have to go through the whole thing. When you identify to them the data, this is your store, Mr. Jones, and this is your competitor, and this is where you're at.
Right. Yeah.
And as a professional consultant and as a person, I would tell them right away, what's your inventory like?
Right.
Why is there's only two issues that you can have. Either you got a training problem or you got an inventory problem. Which one is it? There's only two problems you can have. There's no other problems you can have, only two. And there's a solution for both.
Right.
It's like if you don't know, you can't fix something.
Yeah.
And use the power of data, The power of data is real and it's good. The power of data is a big thing. Right. Because you're able to communicate that data to your team. You're able to put everybody focused and you're able to execute more than you could.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And from the marketing agency's perspective, and I remember what it was like. It's changed a bit because the world is so digital now, but you go in to get a new client, you go in to pick up, ABC Motors down the road. You're investing in an artist to maybe create some beautiful campaign, right, or a new brand or a logo. You might produce a radio commercial or storyboards for a television commercial, and you're going in there and you're going to sell and you're going to tell them why you're so much better. And a lot of times they lean on creative. They lean on, the creative process. But if you could walk in and for the cost of a fraction of a print ad or the cost of a radio spot, have the data in hand to be able to say to that dealership in that meeting, listen, you've lost 750 VINs to these types of dealerships over the last couple of months. There's a serious problem here. We can help. We can target them better. We can see where your weaknesses are and talk to you about it and offer you solutions for it, instead of walking in and just you put on the dog and pony show. You show some ads, you show that your creative is great. You talk about how maybe you can buy media a little bit lower than the other guy or whatever it is. But if you can actually present facts to them and hit them, blindside them, what what an unbelievable tool for marketing agencies, for software companies that are going in trying to sell their SMS software, or DMS. It's unbelievable the way this can be used in so many ways. You've opened my eyes to that, because every week I talk about how important it is for the dealership, and it is. Every dealership should have the VIN retention report. There's nothing else out there like it. But marketing agencies and software companies should have it as well.
Well, let me put the hat of a digital marketing company. So I'm a digital marketing company. I tell you, hey, Lee. So you say, yeah, I want to change my marketing company. Okay. Let's do this. Let's get how much Google AdWords you spend? About 20 grand. Okay, so let's get an audit first. Right? Let's get an audit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in that audit, I already know what you're spending, what your conversion is, what everything is.
Hmm.
I follow it up with, when I send you the report, I follow it up with this data, right? Because you might say, well, I get the traffic. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Traffic. So I give you the audit. I follow it up with the data, and I do a comparison analysis to 3 stores that are close to you. Right? Wow. What is that going on now? You know what I mean? Now that customer is going to say, wow, this guy's got all the information.
Right.
Right? Is somebody going to want to do business with you because you're giving them the comparison analytics? They're going to respect you right off the bat, because now they know you know. So the next person, if you get the account, the next person that comes in better be on his toes, because you have this information, right?
Right.
So that's one way of using it, right? To prospect a new customer in the digital form, because advertising is advertising. It's all the same way. Merchandising is merchandising. The only thing that has changed is the media outlets. That's all. When you were doing it was cable and newspaper. Today is Google and social media. That's all.
Yeah.
So it's just a different media outlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in those media outlets, there's analytics, there's this, there's that, and the list goes on and on. So if you change your perspective a minute, and let's become a digital advertising company, that's how it works, right? You want to do an audit first, because you want to take a dive, right? And find out what his real spend is, what his conversion is, because maybe we can help him. You know, right. Why oversell and underdeliver, right? Like your typical agencies do, right? They promise, and then underdeliver, and that's no good. So you take an audit of their AdWords account, and then you compare it to what they're actually selling. Because their AdWords account might say, well, we're getting leads. Oh, okay. If you're getting the leads, why are you doing so bad in your marketplace? Why are the other two doing it? Oh, then let's take another dive and let's look at your inventory. And that analytics we have too.
Right.
The same way we have all the reporting, all the cars. So we have that analytics too. So we have different types of insights that we can show where the issue is. If you're flipping the inventory every 120 days and your competitor is doing it every 50 days, and you're bringing in leads to your marketplace, guess what's going to happen? That competitor is going to shop you and is going to go to that dealership that's flipping the inventory every 50 days. And what you're doing is marketing for your competitors.
Right. Right.
Okay. That's the world of data. That's the world you're in now. And that's the difference when you see a car in inventory, and I can prove that to anybody. I take on ShopSmart, I get a car in inventory that's been in inventory 2 days, and go to your competitors and watch the price. or figure 30 days and watch the price of the guys had it for 250 days, same car.
Right.
And now you say to yourself, wow, what a difference, 2,500 difference.
Right.
Because dealers don't adjust based on market conditions. No, they do it based on cost.
Right.
I'm a dealer, I would do it based on market condition, because if I lose money on this car, 2,500, right? That only means that when I buy that car, I'm going to make my money 5,000 when I replace the vehicle. And I have dead money. If you have money sitting in a bank and you wait a year, that money depreciated already.
Right.
You know, currency depreciates, cars depreciate.
Right.
So if you don't flip your money, you're going to be out of money. If you don't invest it and flip it, that's it. You're going to run out of money to live. Same thing with a car. If a car is sitting there, and today you have those analytics, today you can see why your competitor is doing it and you're not. At least we can show you, based on data, because we have the data and we're trained professionals on the data part.
Right.
Right. Because anybody that knows me knows that that's one thing that I do know for quite some time. I just don't say it because there's no reason to say it. Who cares? You know, nobody really cares. Listen, I don't say much, like, let me say this, because 90% of the people don't believe it and 10% of the people doubt you. So who cares?
Mm-hmm.
But there it is. It's live. It's true. There it is. Now I say, because we're ready to go to the market with it. Okay. There's a lot of things with that data. That data is just a start of you going into a store and identifying the problem. And hold on, and before you make an investment, Mr. Dealer, let's take a dive at your store.
Right.
Let's see what your inventory, because a lot of people run Google AdWords and it's a revolving door. Well, why is it a revolving door? Because pricing.
Yeah.
They don't know, and that's what the problem is. So with insight, you're able to do it. You know, let's talk about this. Why did S&P 500 merge with IHS? Let's talk about that. Because billions of dollars are sold on automotive data, guys. Somebody's watching the automotive industry in a very big way.
Right.
That's where the data comes, but they always did that. You know, they always sold a lot of data to the automotive part, to the OEMs, to the hedge. They always did that. You know, the biggest thing is the financial part. So it's very, very important that you start looking at certain things as you're a dealer today. By accident, 30 years ago, you were doing business just by accident. Today is not. By accident, you did a lot of business while COVID, because there was something called supply and demand. There was no inventory.
Right.
Well, now we're seeing the trend change real quick, real fast.
Right.
Depreciation's back to tremendous. I mean, we're seeing it change, okay? So having this data tells you. Just like your virtual BDCs. Your virtual BDCs need this data too. So they can give that reporting to the dealership and say, listen, our stuff really works. We have retained you about 1%. Just figure this out. 1% every quarter is 3%. 3, 6, 9, 12. That's 12% in increase. When you put the pencil to that, big profits, big money. That 12% is the difference between you making money and not making money.
Right.
Dealers, are you really watching the products that you're buying if it's giving you a bottom line?
How do you know?
How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know with these DMS people that it's a great product? Let me tell you, I am the biggest promoter of Helms Technology because it's real. I don't necessarily believe in the others, but I definitely believe in Helms Technology because it's real. I got to tell you something. Let me know, dealers, what you have in place to check that out. Do you know if you're increasing or not? Yes, I do, Richie, because I've sold more cars. Really? Do you know it came from them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what this report does. It identifies the value of what product you're doing.
Right. Yeah. For $150, it could literally change the entire perspective on your dealership.
Correct, because let's say you do Google AdWords, Facebook, and DMS marketing, and you're saying it increased. How do you know from where it came from? How do you know?
Mm-hmm.
If your retention's on the way up, it definitely came from a DMS marketing because that's where they generate you the leads. First party data, first party leads. That's where it came. So
Yeah,
that's what I got to share with you. And I thank you so much because you were listening to a phone call today that was very important. That was a game changer.
yeah, that was huge. And that is all we have. So again, for a fraction of the cost of an ad, of a radio spot, of a print ad, you could change the entire world for your dealerships. If you're a marketing agency or if you are a dealership, there is zero reason why you shouldn't be using the VIN retention report. And Richie is reminding me about the book.
So here it is. So we have like 20 books out. These books are going out to special friends that we have. Here's one that's already signed. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about this book is the dedication that we're giving out for the veterans, right? So all profits here go to this organization for vets, right? And that's what it does, right? We're going to have another podcast about the book with Lee because, and here is the book. And it's hard copy. Our friends and our partners will get the hard copy part. So we ordered some books. We got them in, and we're making it work out. And this book has a lot of the content of what it should do and where you guys should have it. It's in Amazon now. Still the special edition is on there because we're ordering books through Amazon. Once they come in, that special edition is going away. The special edition is only going to be on there for the next week or 7 days. Then after that, the regular one's going to be because we added some extra content on that part for our partners and our friends with the relationships that we have out there in the automotive space. So that book is a pretty good. We're excited about the book, and we're excited about this new technology that we have. And by the way, guys, that technology has always existed. It's the cross-sale report. The only thing is that because digital, it's online now, so you don't have to wait 90 days for a registration. So,
That's huge.
And advertising companies have always done that with R.L. Polk and Company. Those were our biggest customers. Those were, and we used to do that summary, and we used to do all that and showing people and identifying to them the opportunity with this customer. We always did that. So now it's just digital. So now it's real time. Bang, boom, you got it up, and that's it, and you're set. So I'm very excited about the book, and I'm very pleased that we got it in time for the holidays. We really worked hard on this, and our team did work very hard to get this book out. But thank you so much. And again, Lee, thank you for always being there, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yep, we'll be catching up with everyone again next week.
Thank you.